صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
خدا حافظ خدا حافظ ہے رخصت کی گھڑی کربلا والوں خدا حافظ خدا حافظ نہ سے ہو سکا کچھ بھی ادا حق میں زبانی کا نہ سے ہو سکا کچھ بھی ادا حق میں زبانی کا ہے یہ شرمندگی ہے یہ شرمندگی ہے کربلا والوں خدا حافظ خدا حافظ تمہارے ساتھ زہرا بھی یہاں تشریف لائی تھی یہ زادی ملی یہ زادی ملی ہے کربلا والوں خدا حافظ خدا حافظ ہمارے گھر کی رونق بھی تمہارے ساتھ جاتی ہے ہمارے گھر کی رونق بھی تمہارے ساتھ جاتی ہے اداسی چھا گئی اداسی چھا گئی ہے کربلا والوں خدا حافظ خدا حافظ تمہارے غم میں روتے روتے مر جاتے تو اچھا تھا تمہارے غم میں روتے روتے مر جاتے تو اچھا تھا یہ حسرت ہی رہی یہ حسرت ہی رہی ہے کربلا والوں خدا حافظ خدا حافظ پھر اگلے سال ہم یوں ہی صفے ماتم بچھائیں اگلے سال ہم یوں ہی صفے ماتم بچھائیں گے، رہی گر زندگی، رہی گر زندگی کربلا والوں، خدا حافظ، خدا حافظ، ہے رخصت کی گھڑی کربلا والوں، خدا حافظ، خدا حافظ. صلو علی محمد و آل محمد. مولا کوئی غم نہ دے آپ لوگوں سوائے غم حسین کے. آل محمد اللہم صلی علی محمد. With your permission, I'd like to invite you to the member for the lecture. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Recite salawat, please.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
رحم اللہ من یقرأ الفاتحہ. بسم اللہ. بسم اللہ. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام التحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي العربي القرشي المكي المدني الهاشمي صاحب قاب قوسين محبوب رب المشرقين والمغربين، جد الحسن والحسين النبي الحرمين والإمام القبلتين والرسول الثقلين الذين سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
Muhammad.
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، روح وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في محكم كتابه ومتقن خطابه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم، له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه، يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم، ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يعوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لا إكراه في الدين، قد تبين الرشد من الغي. ومن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها، والله سميع عليم. بسائر صلوات محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
In honor of Imam Ali-Radha alayhi salam, بسائر another صلوات محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And to hasten the reappearance of our awaited Imam, بسائر third loud صلوات محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وعجل فرجه. Today's our final discussion in series of 3. We mentioned these ayat of Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah is the second surah of the Holy Quran, and the ayat that we mentioned are 255 and 256. Ayat 255 is Ayatul Kursi. As you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayat is introducing His own merits, His own introduction. He's telling us about Himself. He says that Allah is the one who there's no God other than Him, and He is Al-Hayyul Qayyum. To understand out of all the sifat, all the characteristics that He's mentioned regarding, or all the attributes that He has, these ones which have been mentioned in particular, we can understand them from a narration from Imam Ali-Radha alayhi salam. He says in this narration, and the second part or the end part of this narration is well known. I want to share the beginning part so you can connect the beginning with the end. In this narration, there's a rabbi who comes to Imam Ali-Radha alayhi salam, and he says to him that when did Allah begin, and when does He end? What is His beginning and what is His end? Imam alayhi salam replied to him that, tell me of the time when He was not, for me to tell you about His beginning, and tell me about a time when He would not be, for me to tell you about the end. In reality, He was there before every beginning, and He would be there after everything has ended. This is the meaning of Hayyul Qayyum. Hayy is the one who was there from the beginning, before every beginning, and Qayyum is the one who would be there after everything has ended. When he hears this reply, the rabbi asks, An-Nabi Anta, are you a prophet? And Imam alayhi salam replies to him, no. Ana abdun min abid Rasulillah, I'm just a servant amongst the servants of Rasulullah. This part of the narration is well known, you've heard it many times before, but I connected it with the beginning, which is related to our discussion that Hayyul Qayyum is the one who has no beginning and no end. That He was there before every beginning, and He would be there after every end. Then, this is the first introduction. So he says, Allah, there's no God other than Him. Who is He? He is Al-Hayyul Qayyum. In other words, He was there before every beginning. He will be there after every end. La ta'khuduhu sinatun wa la nawm. And sleep and slumber, they don't overtake Him, they don't affect Him. Now this is important because why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to relate as well. Why? You and I, we can stay up 24 hours, 48 hours. After that, start to struggle. No matter how strong I think I am, after 48 hours, if you don't sleep, you will be struggling. Usually you can see the people that if they haven't slept for a couple of days, then they're not only the fact that they need sleep, but their functioning is also being affected. More so than if you don't get food. If you don't get sleep, then your functioning, your brain functioning, your body functioning also gets affected. So everybody needs rest. Everybody needs sleep. Yes, less sleep, more sleep, but sleep is essential for human beings. And there's two reasons behind this, or mentioning this particular sifat, that he doesn't get affected by sleep. Number one is because each of us relate to it, that we all need sleep. And if we don't get it, our functioning will be affected. But there's another reason for this as well. That is the context of when the Quran is revealed. There's a belief at that time which still exists today, which is what? That belief is that God created the world in 6 days and then He rested on the 7th day. Yes, you've all heard it before. This belief is the mainstream Christian belief that God created the world in 6 days and then He rested on the 7th day. It's mentioned in the book of Genesis. For this reason, Sunday is called the day of rest. This is why Sunday is considered the day of rest, because supposedly God created the world in 6 days and then on the 7th day, on the Sunday, He rested. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to clarify that this aqidah, this point, this belief is batil. It's incorrect. Allah doesn't need rest. Not only doesn't He need rest, sleep and slumber, and even sinatum. This sinah is referring to, when some people, they come in the majlis and they doze off. Why? Because the temperature is perfect. Usually for sleep you need the temperature to be right. That little dozing, that's called sinah. Norm is of course sleeping, but that little, when you doze and then you realize that you shouldn't be sleeping and you wake up, that's called sinah. So even that doesn't affect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let alone sleep. But what's the significance? There's another, this is too significant. Number one, regarding, it relates to our lives. Number two, it relates to a belief that exists at that time which needs to be clarified. Number three, there's another reasoning behind it as well. And if we mention, I want to mention that very quickly because you know it, and then we'll relate that to the Imam that we want to speak about today. We say, Salawat ala Muhammad
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And that is that with regards to our A'imma alayhimu salatu salam, all of A'imma alayhimu salam, in terms of their authority, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their sifat, in terms of their excellence, in terms of their fadail and kamal, they are the same. But there's certain aspects which are exclusive to certain imams. Out of them, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam is number one from all aspects, even amongst A'imma alayhi salam. For example, after the shahadat of Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, somebody came to Imam Hassan alayhi salam and said to him, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam alayhi salam stood up from his place and he said, don't repeat that again. This title is exclusively for my father and for nobody else. Not even for the other imams. Only for Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. There's another narration from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam which mentions the same.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Mentions a similar story that somebody came and addressed him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He also said to him that don't repeat that again. This title is exclusively for my grandfather. and for nobody else. In other words, not even the other, let alone nowadays one-eyed person is Amirul Mu'mineen and one-legged person is Amirul Mu'mineen, but as far as we are concerned, not even the other 11 Imams are Amirul Mu'mineen. With regards to Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, so for example, there's a person who sees the ibadat of our fourth holy Imam. And it's well known, you've heard the stories before, it's mentioned every time on the events of Karbala, that Imam Sajjad alayhi salatu salam, his ibadat is so amazing that he stands in front of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do wudu. He goes pale, he goes yellow, he stands in front of on the musalla, he is unrecognizable. So somebody sees him in this state and he says, Ibn Rasulullah, son of the Prophet, your ibadat is so great. Imagine, this is whom? Zainul Abidin, adornment of the worshippers. So he says, if you saw the ibadat of my grandfather Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, then you wouldn't be surprised at my ibadat, because what to say of his ibadat, even the other Imams couldn't compare with him. Allahu Akbar. Zainul Abidin is saying, if you saw the ibadat of my grandfather Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why? For every Imam alayhi salatu salam, there's no doubt that they spend their time, in addition to everything else they do, in ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's one particular ibadat, one particular aspect that other Aimma alayhi salam, they don't get the opportunity to express that. And that is, we have to be careful mentioning this word, because it's a buzzword. And that is the ibadat of jihad. Defending the religion of Islam. Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam got this opportunity in the time of the Holy Prophet of Islam. So he does ibadat at night. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, my grandfather Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, his ibadat was so grand. So the questioner asks, what about his ibadat? He said, he used to pray 1,000 rakat of nafila every night. My grandfather Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam used to pray 1,000 rakat nafila every night. So he does defending the religion of Islam in the daytime. And at night he does 1,000 rakat of ibadat. So day is engaged in fighting, and night is engaged in ibadat. So when does he sleep? Day is ibadat, and night is, day is ibadat, night is ibadat. So when does he sleep? 1,000 rakat at night, defending religion of Islam in the day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, yes, there's a danger that if he doesn't sleep, لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم, he could become a staff of this ayat. Somebody might get confused that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah is the one who doesn't get affected by sleep. Ali ibn Abi Talib, day he's doing defending religion of Islam, night he's doing ibadat. So we have to make sure there's a time that he sleeps also. But it won't be an ordinary sleep. When he stays up 1,000 rakat of ibadat every night, there's no ayat which comes down. But when he sleeps, we're going to send an ayat. When he sleeps, we're going to send an ayat to show you that this sleep is not ordinary sleep. Why? I leave out all the details, you know the story. Rasulullah says, Ya Ali, I want you to sleep. Now, if I ask you to do something, it has to be something that you can do, that you have capability over doing it. If I ask you to do something that you can't do, you will protest and say that you asked me to do something that I can't do. For example, I tell you that you have to take me to the airport, for example. But you say to me, I don't have a car, or I don't have a license. So how can I take you to the airport? You tell somebody who has a license and a car so that they can take you to the airport. If I tell you to do something that you can't do, you have the right to protest and say that I can't do this. How can you ask me to do it? If I tell you that I want you to lie down at this place, you can do it. But if I tell you you have to sleep, you will say this is not in my control. Yes, I can lie down, but I can't sleep. For sleep you need all these factors. Temperature has to be right, it can't be too hot, can't be too cold. Situation has to be right. If I'm scared, even a little bit, then it's impossible that I can sleep. Impossible. Rasulullah says, Ya Ali, I want you to sleep. He didn't say, I want you to lie down. Rasulullah says, Ya Ali, I want you to sleep on the bed. Ali alayhi salam slept. Later on they asked him, Ya Ali, when you knew there's 40 people gathered with swords outside, how did you sleep? He said, didn't you observe that the commandment of Rasulullah was not to lie down? The commandment was to sleep. The command of Rasulullah was to sleep. So I slept. The command from Rasulullah was that you have to sleep. So I slept. When he slept, I came down. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَءُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I revealed this ayah to confirm my tawheed. لَا تَأْخُذُهُ سِنَةٌ وَلَا نَوْمٌ. The only thing, entity that's not affected by sleep is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who stays up all night in ibadat and spends the whole day doing jihad, one night in his life we made him sleep. One night we made him sleep so that you are proven to you that he's a human being. Even he needs sleep, and his sleep is so valuable that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals the ayat and says, amongst the people there's one who sold his soul for the pleasure of Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is affectionate, loving towards his servants. Why did I mention all of this? Because we want to talk about another Ali, and he's also the one with whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. He is Ali al-Murtada, and this, our 8th holy Imam, is Ali-Radha alayhi salatu wasalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
About this Imam alayhi salam, somebody comes to his son, our 9th holy Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Jawad alayhi salam, and says to him that people say that this title Ar-Radha was given to your father by somebody, whoever it was, I don't want to say his name, was given to you by the Khalifa, by the ruler, by the government of the day. Imam alayhi salam said they lied. Every title given to Imam is only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this title to Imam. So they asked him, he says, then why is it that your father was called Ar-Radha? Is it, alayhi billah, other Imams, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wasn't pleased with them? Ar-Radha means the one with whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased. So wasn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased with them? So Imam says, definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with all of them. So he says, why your father was given this title specifically? So he says that because with regards to my father, Allah was pleased with him, his friends were pleased with him, even his enemies were pleased with him. Even his enemies, those who didn't believe in him, those who didn't accept him, those who rejected him, even they were pleased with him. That's why he's called Ali-Radha alayhi salatu wasalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Our 8th holy Imam, Ali ibn Musa Radha alayhi salatu wasalam, is born on 11th of Dhul Qa'dah, 148 after Hijrah. 2 weeks after the demise of his grandfather, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was made shaheed on 25th of Shawwal 148, and 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks after that, 11th of Dhul Qa'dah 148. Some narratives mention 153 as well, but 148 is more famous. In the city of Medina. His father is Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salatu salam, and his mother is Najma Khatun, who's from North Africa. Regarding our 8th holy Imam alayhi salam, now, like I said, some fadail and some merits are exclusive to each one of our Imams. Regarding our 8th holy Imam alayhi salam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who has 4,000 students at one time in the masjid, teaching all kinds of knowledge, not just religious, but also what we might call secular knowledge as well. Science, technology, advancement, all of these things are being taught by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. All the other schools of thought are also learning from him. He says what? He says, my grandson is coming. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, my grandson is coming. And he is whom? Alim Ali Muhammad. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is saying, who has 4,000 students, who's the fountainhead of learning. He's saying what? He's saying, my grandson is coming, and he is Alim Ali Muhammad, the knowledgeable one from Ali Muhammad, the scholar of Ali Muhammad. Who is saying? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is saying about Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Radha, who hasn't been born yet. He's going to be born 2 weeks after Imam alayhi salam is made shaheed. He's saying, my grandson is coming, and he is Alim Ali Muhammad. What is the significance of Imam Rida alayhi salam being Alim Ali Muhammad? So he's in Medina. He's living in Medina. Ma'mun Rashid becomes, I'm leaving out all the details. Ma'mun Rashid becomes the Khalifa. There's a big battle. Harun Rashid dies. After Harun Rashid dies, his two sons, Amin Rashid and Ma'mun Rashid, go to war with each other. And Ma'mun kills Amin. His forces bring the head of his own brother, and he takes over the whole empire. I left out all the details. Ma'mun Rashid becomes the Khalifa. Now he decides that there is big shift in policy. The Abbasid Khilafat started in 133, and Ma'mun Rashid becomes the Khalifa in 193. 60 years have passed since the beginning of the Abbasid Khalifa. In these 60 years, from 133 to 193, the policy of Abbasid has been what? That we kill the Imams, we torture the Imams, we put them in prison. Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam spent his whole lifetime in prison. And if we do this, then we will get people away from Ali Muhammad and bring them towards us. When Imam Musa ibn Ja'far is made shaheed in the prison and Harun Rashid dies, Ma'mun Rashid realizes that this hasn't worked. This policy that we put Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam in prison, and we thought that people will go away from him, it hasn't worked. So we need to do something else. So he decides a shift in policy. Now in reality, there's no shift, but there is a appearance of a new policy. What is this policy? This policy is, number one, Ma'mun Rashid announces that I have become Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Ma'mun Rashid announces, I am Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And right of Khilafat belongs to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So Imam Rida alayhi salam is in Medina. Ma'mun Rashid, his winter capital is at Marv, which is in today's Turkmenistan. At that time, this whole area was called Khurasan. But today, in today's geography, it is Turkmenistan. Marv was the winter capital of Ma'mun Rashid. He calls Imam from Medina to Marv. He tells them that don't bring him through the famous routes because people recognize him. So bring him through the less popular route, the route which has less people on it. That route which has less people on it, that route is called, or had on the way, has a place called Neshapur. Those of you who've been for ziyarah to Iran will have gone to Neshapur. And inshallah, those of you not been, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you all get a chance to go. Imam Ali-Radha has left Medina to go to Makkah. Not only is he acting in order to defend his own self and his own followers, but he's also doing a couple of things to answer some objections from the past. I want you to bear in mind, to connect this with the past. Which is what? Which is that some people say that if Imam Hussein a.s. had gone to Yazid in Damascus and done some discussions with him, done some dialogue with him, then he could have avoided the battle of Karbala. Right? Some people say, bring this objection, that's why Imam Hussein a.s. went to Karbala. If he went to Sham, if he went to Damascus and he did dialogue with Yazid, then the battle of Karbala could have been avoided. So Imam Ali-Radha is saying that, look, I'm leaving from Medina and I'm going to Marf to do dialogue with Ma'mun al-Rashid. And I want you to observe what happens at the end. And if Imam Hussein had gone to Yazid, same thing would have happened. Okay, number one. Now Imam Ali-Salam, he leaves. The people from Ma'mun have come to him. He leaves and he goes towards Marf. On the way is Neshapur. At Neshapur there are 24,000. How many? 24,000 people gathered. Imagine. 24,000. And they're not just gathered, they come with pen and paper. 24,000 people with pen and paper. And when Imam Ali-Salam reaches there, they say, tell us something from your grandfather Rasulullah. Yesterday we mentioned, day before yesterday, that Rasulullah asked for pen and paper. And people denied. Imam Ali-Salam said, look, this is the power of Imamat. That yesterday those people who denied pen and paper to my grandfather, today not one, 24,000 people have gathered with pen and paper. And they're saying, we want to hear something from your grandfather Rasulullah. So Imam Ali-Salam says, I'm going to tell them the same thing as what my grandfather Rasulullah wanted to say on that day. I'm going to tell them the same thing that my grandfather Rasulullah wanted to say on that day when he asked for pen and paper and he was denied. So he reaches. They say, Ibn Rasulullah, we want to hear something from your grandfather Rasulullah. Imam Ali-Salam lifts the curtain from the camel litter and he says, listen. He says, I heard from my father Musa ibn Ja'far, who heard from his father Ja'far ibn Muhammad, who heard from his father Muhammad ibn Ali, who heard from his father Ali ibn Hussein, who heard from his father Hussein ibn Ali, who heard from his brother Hassan ibn Ali, who heard from Amirul Mu'mineen, who heard from Rasulullah, who heard from Jibreel, that Allah said. Before I mention the hadith, this hadith is called Hadithus Silsilatul Dhahab, the hadith with the golden chain of narration. Why? Because every single narrator in this hadith is ma'soom. From Ali ibn Musa alayhi salam to Jibreel, every narrator in this hadith is ma'soom. So it's called Hadithus Silsilatul Dhahab, the hadith with the golden chain of narration. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal says regarding this, not about the hadith, about the chain of narration. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal says that if a person recites this chain of narration, not the hadith, chain of narration, on somebody who's insane, they would regain their sanity. Just the chain of narration. This is a reply to those who said, Al-Yadu Billah, Rasulullah has lost his mind when he asked for pen and paper. When the name of Rasulullah is recited on somebody, they would regain their sanity. How could Rasulullah even for a moment lose his mind? Recite salawat ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Then Imam says, what does he say? Now he mentions the hadith. Kalimatu la ilaha illallah ismi. Faman dakhala min hisni amina min adhabi. They say, Ibn Rasulullah, they asked you for the chain of narration. They asked you for the hadith. They didn't ask you, tell us the chain of narration. They asked you, tell us a hadith of the Prophet. But you told them the chain of narration, then you told them the hadith. So Imam Ali-Salam would say that I've mentioned the chain of narration, so you memorize it once. Every hadith from an Imam has the same chain of narration. Every hadith from the Imam has the same chain of narration. We have the same chain of narration. Every hadith from every Imam, every single narrator in that hadith is ma'soom. What is the hadith? Kalimatu la ilaha illallah ismi. The sentence, the kalima, La ilaha illallah, is a fortress, is a castle. فَمَنْ دَخَلَ مِنْ حِسْنِهِ, whosoever enters into that fortress, into that castle, amina min adabi, he is saved from my punishment. Condition is to enter. Just as we mentioned, the firm handle you have to hold on. Similarly, you have to enter. Whoever enters would be saved from my punishment. Imam Ali-Salam goes forward. Then he stops again. And then he mentions the second part of this narration. And he says, وَلَكِنْ وَشَرْتِهَا وَشُرُوتِهَا. But there are some conditions of entering into the fortress of La ilaha illallah. وَأَنَا مِن شُرُوتِهَا. And I'm one of the conditions of entering into La ilaha illallah. Shaykh Saduq, who mentions this narration from various different narrators in his book Uyun al-Akhbar al-Radha, has a footnote on this. And he says, why is it that Imam Ali-Salam mentioned the hadith, then he stopped, he went forward, and then he mentioned the second part of the hadith separately? What's the reasoning behind this? So he replies, he says, possibly Imam Ali-Salam was afraid that some people might edit this second part of the hadith about the shurut, the conditions of La ilaha illallah. And they would say that yes, whosoever says La ilaha illallah would be saved from punishment. So Imam Ali-Salam makes this emphasis that he stopped twice and he mentioned the hadith two separate parts, so that people are forced to say and narrate that yes, the hadith was mentioned in two separate parts. First he mentioned the hadith, then he mentioned yes, there's some conditions to La ilaha illallah as well. وَأَنَا مِن شُرُوطِ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. And I am one of the conditions of La ilaha illallah. Khulasa of all of this, summary of all of this is what? Is that on the day when Rasulullah asked for pen and paper, this is what he wanted to say. That yes, La ilaha illallah will give you najat, salvation, success in this life and the next life. But there's some conditions of entering into La ilaha illallah. And the condition of entering into La ilaha illallah. On that day it was Ali ibn Abi Talib, and today it's Ali-Radha alayhi salatu wasalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
This is the condition of entering into La ilaha illallah. Wilayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Because one narration says, Wilayatu Aliyan Hisni. Wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is my fortress. And whosoever enters into the fortress is safe from my punishment. That this way of entering into La ilaha illallah is the only one that's acceptable. Those of you who've been for ziyarat, see that at that place there's a tree and there's a well and there's a footprint of the Imam Ali. Where he stopped, that was the well when he wanted to do wudu. The footprint is where he prayed, and the tree bowed down to him in reverence when he came. All of these are the ijazat, the karamat of Imam Ali ibn Musa-Radha alayhi salatu wasalam, which are existent up to today. There was no spring there. When Imam alayhi salam wanted to do wudu, the spring emerged. And when he prayed, then the footprint of his emerged, and that's been preserved up to today. Now Imam alayhi salam, so Ma'mun had wanted him to come through Le Shapur because it was the route where there's going to be less people. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided that whichever route you take him through will bring the people to him. 24,000 people came. They wrote it down. They went away. Imam alayhi salam now continues the journey. He arrives in Marv. When he gets to Marv, Ma'mun al-Rashid says to him that you are entitled to the Khilafat, you are entitled to the rule, it belongs to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, I'm giving it to you. Imam alayhi salam says, I don't accept it. Imagine that Imam Ali ibn Musa-Radha alayhi salatu salam, he's the Imam. And you and I, we believe that he has the right over the government. So then how come Ma'mun Rashid is saying to him, you have it, and he says no? Right? You and I, we believe that he has the right over ruling the people, because there's nobody who has the right to rule over the people except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission. And the Imam in each time has that authority, that power to rule over the people. But when Ma'mun Rashid offers it to him, he says no. There's a very important message in this. The message in this is what? The message in this is, in English we have a saying. The saying is, the end justifies the means. Right? If somebody wants to do something wrong, they say the end justifies the means. But in Islam, this is not the case. The end does not justify the means. In Islam, the end does not justify the means. Even if your end, your desire, your end goal is noble and good and excellent, if the means are not correct, it is batil, it's unacceptable. For example, if I steal and then I give in charity, I say the end justifies the means. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says no. Why? He says we only accept the action of those who are muttaqeen. We only accept the action of those who believe and do righteous deeds. We don't accept the action of those who commit sins in order to do a good deed. It's not acceptable. The end does not justify the means. Imam Ali ibn Musa-Radha alayhi salatu wasalam is telling us that, look, the end, that yes, Khilafat belongs to me, does not justify the means that I can take it from Ma'mun Rashid. Why? This is very important. If I take it from Ma'mun Rashid, then I accepted that he had the right to give it to me. If I took it from Ma'mun Rashid, then I accepted implicitly that he had the right to give it to me, whereas in reality he has no right to give it to me. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the right to give authority to anybody.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So he says, but if you don't accept to become the Khalifa, then I insist that you become heir apparent, wali ahad, next in line. Imam Ali-Salam says, I don't accept this either. So after long to and fro, Ma'mun Rashid says to Imam, that if you don't accept, then I will kill you. Allahu Akbar. If you don't accept, I'll kill you. Imam Ali-Salam says to him that if that's the case, if it's a matter of life and death, then I accept. But on one condition. What's the condition? Condition is that I will not interfere or deal or be asked to deal with the matters of the government. Question. Imam Ali-Salam says, if it's a matter of life and death, then I accept. That means what? That means saving a life is necessary. Saving your life is wajib. So question, why didn't Imam Hussain alayhi salam save his life? Why Imam Hussain alayhi salam didn't save his life? Imam Ali-Radha alayhi salatu salam says, and we'll come to that just in a moment. Imam Ali-Radha alayhi salatu salam says, he says, I'm going to kill you. Ma'mun Rashid says, I'm going to kill you. Why? What's the basis? He gives a basis for it. He says that you recall that when the second Khalifa died, he left behind an envelope which had the names of 6 people in it. Imam alayhi salam says yes. And he says your grandfather Amirul Mu'mineen was one of them. He says yes. He says, and one of the conditions of those choosing one of the 6 people as the Khalifa was that if 5 go on one side and the 6th is left by himself, then the 5 should kill the 6th one. Very nice democracy. That if 5 go on one side and the 6th is left by himself, then the 5 should kill the 6th one. So then Ma'mun Rashid says, if you don't accept, then this is what I will have to do. Imagine. So Imam Ali-Radha says, if it's a matter of life and death, then I'm saving my life. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he doesn't save his life. Why? Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he doesn't save his life. Imam Hussain alayhi salatu salam, by not taking this option of saving his life, why? Imam Hussain alayhi salam has a role and a message that is only through his death and not through his life. That message is what? That message is that Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam is asked for allegiance. Yazid says, I want you to give me allegiance. Allegiance means that I want you to say that everything that I'm doing is correct. Allegiance means that everything that I'm saying, everything that I'm doing, I want you to say is correct. Imam Hussain alayhi salam says, Mithli la yuba'u mithlu. Someone like me can't pledge allegiance to someone like him. Right? This reply is so powerful that after Imam Hussain alayhi salam, no other Imam is asked for allegiance. Because they know we are like Yazid and they are like Hussain. Every single ruler after Yazid, they never ever come and ask for allegiance. So, because there was the question of allegiance, and question of allegiance was unacceptable, there was only the choice between humiliation and death. Imam Ali-Radha says, the son of Hinda has left me with the choice between humiliation and death. And hayat minnat. And humiliation is far away from us. If it comes to a moment or time where it's between humiliation and death, then yes, death would be the choice. But in every other choice, every other matter, saving the life is necessary. Who's going to decide? This is why you need an Imam in every time. That Imam Hussain alayhi salam would decide that yes, here giving your life is necessary. Imam Ali-Radha alayhi salam is going to decide that here saving your life is necessary. Salawat ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Why? Because he's the one with whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. The people are pleased with. His followers are pleased with. Even his enemies are pleased with. Ma'mun Rashid calls the people into the court. And so this is very rare. Just one final thing to mention that I want to mention on my side so we conclude on time. Imam Ali-Radha's time is very unique. He himself is Alim Ali Muhammad. Why? We'll just mention that in a second. Is unique because Ma'mun Rashid himself is a scholar. And this is rare because Khalifas generally are not scholars. Khalifas generally are very uneducated people. They have no interest in scholarship. They have no interest in learning. But Ma'mun Rashid was not like that. Ma'mun Rashid was a scholar. So Ma'mun Rashid decides that he's going to have debates in his court. He's going to call all the people and he's going to have debates with people from different religions. And Imam alayhi salam is going to debate them. Those of you who've seen the film on Imam Ali-Radha alayhi salam will recall this scene. That Imam is in the court with Ma'mun and he calls in all the scholars from all the different religions. I'm just mentioning one sentence from one of the debates. Debates are very lengthy and very interesting. How Imam alayhi salam answers each person according to their own beliefs. But I'm just mentioning one sentence, Tabarukan, one sentence from one debate. Jathliq, the head of the Catholics, he comes, Ma'mun calls him, he comes and Ma'mun says to him, debate with Ali ibn Musa alayhi salam. Jathliq says, how can I debate with the one who doesn't believe in the same books as me? Imam alayhi salam says to him that if I answer you with your books, would you accept? He says, how could I not? Imam alayhi salam asks him about his books. He reads out passages from the testaments and he says, confirm to me that these are the sentences that are mentioned in your books. He says, yes. Then Imam alayhi salam says something very interesting to him. He says to him that we love and we respect, and this is the commonality between you and us, that we love and we respect Isa alayhi salam. We love and we respect Jesus Christ alayhi salam. But we have one objection for him. Imam alayhi salam says, we love and we respect Jesus Christ, but we have one objection. So he says, what's your objection? He says, our objection is that he was a very good person. But when it came to prayer and fasting, he was not very strong. When it came to prayer and fasting, he was not very strong. Didn't used to pray or fast. So this person turns to Ma'mun Rashid and he says to him, Ma'mun, you told me this person is a scholar. And he's saying to me that Jesus Christ didn't used to pray or fast when it says in your Quran, that you used to stay up all night in ibadat and he used to fast during the day. Imam Ali-Salam says, if he used to pray and fast, for whom did he pray and fast? If he used to pray and fast, for whom did he pray and fast? Those who pray and fast are servants of God. God is in no need of prayer and fasting.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He goes silent. Imam Ali-Salam says, read this passage from this book. He reads the passage. Imam says, this person who's mentioned in this passage, he's called Farqalita. So he says, what does this, who is this person? He's silent. He says, I don't know. He says, shall I translate Farqalita into Arabic? Farqalita from Hebrew. He says, shall I translate it into Arabic? He says, Farqalita is the one who's the most praised. If I translate into Arabic, Farqalita is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
The most praised. So it's mentioned in your books that he's coming and he's the prophet that you have to accept. So why didn't you accept him? They go silent. The leader of the rabbis comes. Imam Ali-Salam says to him that you believed in Musa Ali-Salam but you didn't believe in Isa Ali-Salam. Why? He said because Musa Ali-Salam showed miracles and Isa Ali-Salam didn't show miracles. Imam says to him, first of all, tell me, does every person who shows a miracle, is he a prophet? He says yes. Imam Ali-Salam says, read the Old Testament, there's 3 people mentioned who showed miracles and they were not prophets, according to your texts. Then he says, you accepted the miracles of Musa alayhi but you didn't accept the miracles of Isa alayhi. Why? Did you see the miracles of Musa alayhi? He says, no. He says, where did you find out the miracles of Musa alayhi? You read them in the Old Testament. And that same testament tells us about the miracles of Isa alayhi. So how is it that you accepted the miracles of Musa alayhi but you rejected the miracles of Isa alayhi when they're mentioned in the same book? He was also silent. Then the leader of the atheists comes, the leader of the other sects in religion of Islam comes. Ma'mun Rashid debating with each and every one of them. And he's bringing the best of the debaters. Each best debater he brings gets silent in front of the Imam alayhi salam. So he realizes that this is not the way. He realizes this is not the way. Everything that I'm doing, it's going against me. Imam alayhi salam is becoming more and more popular. One day he tells him, I want you to lead the Eid prayer. Imam alayhi salam says, I'll lead it the way my grandfather Rasulullah used to lead it. He wakes up in the morning on the day of Eid, he wears white. And he rolls up his sleeves and he goes barefoot saying the takbirat. The people gather around him, so much so that by the time he reaches the masjid there is a massive crowd, never seen before. The advisor says to Ma'mun, if he leads the Eid prayer then there will be no khilafat for you. If he leads the prayer there is no khilafat for you. So he says, what shall I do? Imam had told his servant that before I reach the masjid, he's going to send a message to me to go back. As soon as Imam reaches the door of the masjid, he says, the Khalifa has ordered you to go back. Imam says, what did I tell you? What did I inform you? Some months after this, Ma'mun Rashid decides that the only thing that he can do is end the life of the Imam. That's it. Our time is up. Few moments to mention. to end the life of the Imam alayhi salam. What does he do? He invites the Imam alayhi salam with the one day, and he says, I've ordered the best grapes. And in those grapes, imagine, at that time, there's research going on. This is called the golden period of Islam. There's research going on. Research to do what? Research, how can you inject fruits with poison so that you don't find out that the fruits have been injected with poison. Why? So you can kill Imams of Ahlul Bayt. So what do? They discover that if you put the poison on a piece of string and then you put the string through the fruit, the poison will go into the fruit and it would not appear that the fruit has been touched. So they put the string through the grapes in order to put the poison into the fruit. This is the research, golden period of Islam. Research into how to kill Imams of Ahlul Bayt. Allahu Akbar. So they put the poison in the grapes, and then he puts those grapes with the poison in front of the Imam, and he has the other grapes which have no poison in them in front of himself. And he calls the Imam, and he tells him that have the grapes, I ordered these especially for you. And to show that there's nothing wrong with the grapes, he has some himself, the ones which don't have the poison. Imam alayhi salam takes a couple of the grapes, he eats them, and he gets up and he leaves. Ma'mun Rashid says to him that I want you to have more. Imam says whatever you wanted has already happened. Whatever you wanted has happened. The poison spreads throughout his body. And it makes him go pale. Imam Ali-Radha calls on Aba Salt Halwi. Those who have been for ziyarat outside of Mashhad is Aba Salt Halwi, the last person to speak to Imam Ali. He says to him, Aba Salt, I'm going to die. And when I die, close the chamber. Don't let anybody enter, because people would like to enter. But don't let anybody enter. My son would come, he would do all the arrangements, he would give the ghusl, kafan, and bury me. Later on, people used to debate with imams and say, how is it possible that the imam could come so far away from Medina to Khurasan? And imams would answer them, did you forget that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, who was in chains, came from Kufa to Karbala to bury his father alayhi salam. And when one imam can do it, another imam can also. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has determined and decreed that only a ma'soom, only an imam can do the funeral of an imam. Abba Salt says, I did as imam instructed me. Then he says, when it comes to the time of the burial, you'll see that Ma'mun Rashid wants me buried next to the feet of his father, but when they dig the grave, there will be no grave there. They'll keep on digging, but they would not be able to dig a grave there. Then they would have to dig a grave at the top of his grave where my feet would be. And that is where I would be buried. Abbasad says, it happened exactly as the Imam told me. I closed the chamber and I didn't let anybody enter. But I felt as though there's somebody in the chamber. When I came into the chamber, I saw there's a young man in the chamber. I asked him, how did you enter? He says, Abba Salt, do you doubt the power of Imamat? Do you doubt the power of Imamat? The Imam, the Allah who brought me from Medina to Khurasan has brought me inside this chamber. I am your next Imam Muhammad al-Jawad. 9 years of age. Imam Ali-Radha, our ninth holy Imam, does the ghusl, does the kafan. He buries Imam Ali-Radha at the place where Imam al-Salam had sit. Today, this is the miracle of Imam, that he's buried the furthest away, but he has the most visitors. He has the most zawar, the most people visiting him every single day of the year. Every single day of the year. This is Imam Ali-Radha, who was killed so far away. But at least, Yabna Rasulullah, when you were killed far away, at least you got the husn, and at least you got the kafan, and at least you were able to be buried with respect and reverence. But in Karbala was your grandfather Hussein alayhi salam. In Karbala was your grandfather Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, that when he was killed, his body was left on the burning sands for 3 days. When he was killed, his body was shattered into pieces by the trampling of the hooves of the horses. Today is the beginning of the eve of the 4th of Rabiul Awwal. According to some narratives, 4th of Rabiul Awwal is the wafat of the sister of our 8th holy Imam, Hazrat Fatima Ma'sooma. Hazrat Fatima Ma'sooma had left Medina because of the separation, that she couldn't bear the separation with her brother Imam Ali-Radha. She came towards Khurasan, left with her brothers and sisters towards Khurasan. When they reached towards Khurasan, there was a battle and the men in the caravan were all killed. Hazrat Fatima Ma'sooma became injured. And when they reached there, they reached at a place called Sava. Those of you been for Ziyarat, there's a Baytul Nur there. When they reached at Sava, Musa ibn Khazraj, who was the leader of the Shia of that place, he brought Hazrat Ma'sooma to Baytul Nur and he asked her to stay there. When he came to take her, he was dressed in black and there were black flags flying everywhere. So Hazrat Ma'sooma was curious, what's happened? When she came to Baytul Nur, she saw there's a woman sitting there and she's crying. And she's saying, Ya Ali ibn Musa-Radha. So she comes, Hazrat Ma'sooma comes close to this woman and she asks her, she says, what are you saying? What are you saying? Why are you saying Ya Ali ibn Musa-Radha? So she says, don't you know that our Imam has been killed? Don't you know that our Imam has been killed? Our Imam got killed by Ma'mun al-Rashid and today he was buried. Hazrat Ma'sooma hears this, and when she hears this, she hears that she who came on this long journey to see her brother has been killed and she would never see him again. When she hears this, she becomes unconscious. She becomes unconscious, she becomes sick, and after some days she passes away. To Hazrat Ma'sooma we only say this, that yes, you heard about the fact that your brother got killed and you became unconscious and you couldn't bear it and you died. But what about Zainab Salamullah alayha, who stood on the day of Ashura, Tilla Zainabiyya, 40 steps away and saw her brother being killed by Shimr in Joshan, and yet she still survived to say that our 5th holy Imam, when he reaches back to Medina and somebody asks him, Yabna Rasulullah, tell us who's the most oppressed personality of Karbala, the Imam weeps and he says, the most oppressed personality of Karbala is my aunt Zainab. He says, why? Imam says, because every time somebody wanted to come and hit any one of us, whip any one of us, slap any one of us, Zainab Salamullah alayha would come in the way, and that whip and slap and hit would come onto Zainab. Allah wa la'natullahi ala al-qawmi al-zalimin wa saya'lamu alladhina zalamu ayyamun qalabiyyan qalibun. Ma can I say? Ya Hussein. حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین آئے غریب الوطن آئے غریب الوطن اسیر مہان آئے غریب الوطن اسیر مہان الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع repeat with me ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان الوداع 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 اے حسین ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان الوداع 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 repeat after me please الوداع 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 اے حسین نیزوں پہ سر کاٹ کے ہائے چڑھایا گیا گھوڑوں سے پامال تن تیرا کرایا گیا لوٹ کے سب مال و زر خیمہ جلایا گیا ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان ہائے غریب الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان ہائے غریب الوطن الوداع اے حسین الوداع حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع بیویوں پہ کس قدر کرتے تھے آزا جنا اتنی سیدانیاں کرتی تھی آہو بکاں دشت جفا میں یہی گونج رہی تھی صدا ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان الوداع 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 حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع ارے باندھی جفاکار نے شانوں میں کس کر رسن کس طرح ہم شیر دے بھائی کو اپنے کفن چھین لی سر سے ردا ہو گئی بے بس بہن ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان الوداع 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 اے حسین اے حسین ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان الوداع 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 اے حسین بالی سکینہ کے جب شمن چھینے گوہر خون بہا اس قدر ہو گیا سب پرتتر کہتی تھی آؤ چچا وقت مدد ہے پدر ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہان الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع حسین اے حسین ہتھ کڑی اور بیڑیاں تو کے گراں بار ہے کتنا اسیر موہن عابد بیمار ہے لشکر جورو ستم جانے کو تیار ہے آئے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہن
آئے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہن
الوداع الوداع الوداع
اے حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع
اے حسین الوداع ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہن ہائے غریب الوطن اے اسیر مہن الوداع 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 اے حسین
الوداع
اے حسین الوداع اے حسین الوداع یا حسین
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 یا
یا
حسین
حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا حسین
یا
یا حسین
حسین یا
یا
حسین
حسین
یا حسین یا حسین
آپ لوگوں نے سب نے میرے ساتھ مل کے پڑھنا ہے نا الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع یہ صدائیں فغاں اور یہ مجلسیں یہ صدائیں فغاں اور یہ مجلسیں ماتم و نوح اور غم کی یہ زینتیں چاہتا ہے یہ دل یوں ہی قائم رہے چاہتا ہے یہ دل یوں ہی سمجھ کے چاہتا ہے یہ دل یوں ہی آہ پڑتا ہے دل کس طرح یہ کہیں الوداع
الوداع
ماشاء اللہ مومن آخری نوائے الوداع الوداع الوداع
اے حسین
میرے مہمان ہے آخری یہ سلام تجھ پہ قربان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ
سلام
دل ہے ویران ہے آخری یہ سلام الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع
الوداع الوداع اے حسین
بخش دے ہو گئی ہو جو کوئی خطا بخش دے ہو گئی ہو جو کوئی خطا حق خدمت نہ ہم سے ادا ہو سکا غم یہی ہے نہ جی بھر کے ماتم کیا غم یہی ہے کہ جی بھر کے
ماتم کیا
غم یہی ہے نہ جی بھر کے تیری خاطر نہ کیوں اپنا سر دے دیا الوداع
الوداع الوداع اے حسین
الوداع الوداع
الوداع اے حسین
گرجی یہ سال بھر پھر کریں گے یہ غم
علی
روئیں گے پھر تیرے غم میں مل کے بہار اور اگر مر گئے تو یہ ہوگا نام، اور اگر مر گئے تو یہ ہوگا نام، اور اگر مر گئے تو یہ ہوگا نام۔ ہائے افسوس جی بھر کا نوے نہام، الوداع 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 اے حسین، الوداع 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 اے حسین، الوداع اے حسین، اے حسین الوداع، الوداع اے شہ مشرقین، الوداع، سب مل کے الوداع اے حسین، اے حسین الوداع، الوداع اے شہ مشرقین، الوداع، بنت احمد کے اے نور عین، الوداع، بنت احمد کے نور عین، الوداع، بنت احمد کے ہے نور عین، الوداع، ہے مجاہد کے لب پر یہ بین، الوداع 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 اے حسین، 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 الوداع 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 اے حسین۔
حسام لبیب اوکے۔
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعل الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك جدك وأبيك وأمك وأخيك وأئمتك من ذريته وبنيك ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء وبعيد المدى السلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا. سلام الله على آبائك الطاهرين وأبنائك المعصومين وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان سيدي الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا حجة المنان. السلام عليك قامع الكفر والطغيان. السلام عليك يا دافع الظلم والعدوان. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك وشيعتك. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. 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 يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله اللهم لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته
يا الله
ولا هما إلا فرجته
يا الله
ولا عدوا إلا دفعته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مريضا إلا شافيته وعافيته ولا رزقا إلا بسطته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا يسرتها وقضيتها يا رب العالمين. اللهم اهدنا من عندك وأفض علينا من فضلك وأنزل علينا من بركاتك. اللهم ارزقنا في هذه الدنيا زيارة محمد وآل محمد. اللهم ارزقنا في الآخرة شفاعة محمد وآل محمد. اللهم اعتقنا من النار. اللهم ادخلنا الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وإلى شرف النبي وآله ولأمواتنا جميعا رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة تسبق الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم.